Okay.
Welcome to the show.
Yes. Welcome to the show.
You're listening to the Wow Pod. I'm Betsy.
And I'm Jared. We keep
Another Thursday.
Yeah.
Another amazing show. You tried to get me to do a gross show.
Well,
I dove headfirst into the annals of
the
history.
Anal.
It's literally the annals. It's the anus of history.
Yeah.
It is something that people need to know about.
I really think they do. And it's the ultimate in true crime and the ultimate in kind of government abuse.
Oh, it's awful.
When the Bolsheviks took over Russia, they had to figure out how to subdue populations.
Yes. And they were given these really large quotas to meet. And so they were choosing people. They had we'll have to do a show on it, but I'm telling you, it's gross.
It's horrible. Yeah,
we're going to name it This Show is Gross, the Wow Pod.
So
if you don't want to hear a gross show, when you see that come up, just scroll on by. Don't listen to it.
There are heinous things in history that you hear about. And of course, the Holocaust is heinous, awful. Yeah. But the Holodomor was every bit as awful. Yeah. What was it? Unit 731, the Japanese unit in China. Every bit as awful.
Yeah. Don't make me research that.
And all this, it was insane. You know, if you look throughout history, you get something insane like that every 100, 150, 200 years, you know.
Yeah.
Alexander the Great. There's a gap between him and Genghis Khan or Attila the Hun or any of those movements that were bloody and heinous. And in 1 century, we tipped 3 that would shock people. Now, granted, it would be unfair for me to argue that all through the 1900s, all the awfulness that happened, it would be bias of me to say, oh, they were definitely worse than, say, what the Mongols did in their conquering of the world. Because the Mongols...
It just feels closer.
But it's closer, and it's right there on you, and there's still people alive who are survivors of that. So
right.
But yeah, the Holocaust, the Holodomor, and all 3 of those things happened in a 30-year period.
Yeah, so gross.
It's insane.
So we're gonna do the show, but not tonight, because here is your final content warning. If you come across a show that says this show is gross, you'll know. So we'll save it for that.
It's sad.
We're going to do something much more fun tonight.
Okay. Fun night tonight. And some news.
We're going to talk about Utah. I was kind of prompted to prepare this show because of our guest last week from Skinwalker Ranch.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was his name?
His name was Jordan Lone Bear.
Lone Bear.
And his show, go check it out. It's Scary Stories to Tell from the Res. It's a very fun show.
Yeah. So
he's a cool dude.
It got me thinking, Utah, as with many states, because it's got this building history, also has this building list of places that are continuously said to be haunted.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one is the White Lady of Latuda. Now, Latuda is that mining town that in 1927, that avalanche ripped through town. So if you drive up the canyon, you can see the remnants of what was a mining town called Latuda.
Okay.
The avalanche was so fierce that it actually swept people away out of their homes and left structures kind of haphazardly standing.
What?
Yes.
So where's this mining town by?
So Latuda, let me pull up my map. I've driven through Latuda. So
I've never heard of it.
yeah, Latuda's over by Helper.
Okay, I know where Helper is.
So there's that canyon just to the west of Helper.
Okay.
And Latuda's up that canyon. So this mining town was kind of placed on the hillside, kind of stair-stepping down this canyon. Mm-hmm. And this avalanche they got a really heavy snow, and then they got some rains, and this avalanche was wet enough that it slid down the mountainside with such ferocity that it actually swept people out of their homes and buried them hundreds of yards.
So it was like when you watch the video of the tsunami where it just came on so fast,
no warning. And we're talking 1927. So they didn't have like these, avalanche precursor warnings, and they didn't have these, small avalanche where they would set off the small avalanches to protect them from the larger ones. But it killed many, many residents. Mm-hmm. And it left a shell of this mining town. And it was so deep that the miners just packed up and moved on, those that survived. But what the people who visit Latuda are continuously reporting is they hear crying in the forest. And if they go in search of it, there's this apparition that appears to be a woman in a white nightgown. Now, this avalanche was said to have happened between 4 and 5 a.m., so it would have been still dark outside. Mm-hmm. They would have been sleeping and just ripped from their homes in the dead of night.
Let me ask you a question. So, an apparition like that being caused by a tragic event, do you think it's one person that died in the event had whatever circumstance that they had a connection to stick around? Or do you think it's a culmination and the apparition doesn't tie into one single person?
It's hard to say, because those who have seen her, the reported sightings, say that she wanders between building and building looking for someone, crying. So I lean more towards
one person.
And it's said that one of the miners actually left after he dug for his wife for days. Mm-hmm. So it could be her residual energy. I mean, entire families were wiped out.
Maybe mixed in with his. And
yeah. But he dug with his hands and shovels for days, trying to find his wife, knowing that he was going to find her body at this point, buried in snow for that long, before he finally gave in and left the mountain. So that she's seen wandering between these like carcasses of buildings. Yeah. So the next one is Moon Lake, and we really should go visit all of these places.
Yeah, Moon Lake, because there's fish in it.
Late at night. Ooh. Yes, and listen for the wailing lady. But Moon Lake is in the high Uintas. And it is said campers every year report seeing a soaking wet and shivering young girl in broad daylight. And they try to give her assistance. All of these campers end up at the ranger station saying, "We saw a young girl. She was wet and she was shivering. We attempted to give her assistance, but by the time we got there, she was gone."
How do they mean got there? Like they see her on the other side?
She's close. They walk to her and then she just kind of disappears. They're not making the connection that she's an apparition. all of them claim that she's a real girl, and they think that she's just kind of wandered away out of sight. So they look for her, call her name. Hey, girl, hey, we're here to help you. Come here, don't be afraid. And then they go to the ranger station. So the ranger station at Moon Lake, so the ranger station, from what I understand, is like 6 miles down the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
The ranger station there at Moon Lake, or the closest one, has a stack of reports where people are like, there is a little girl. She's obviously fallen in the lake. We're talking high Uintas, freezing water.
Mm-hmm.
She's obviously fallen in the lake. You've got to get a search party. And from the ranger station, this has been happening for so long that in the beginning, they would send a search party.
Yeah, nowadays they kind of
now they're like,
adjust their toothpick to the other side of their mouth and turn the page.
Okay, fill this out to kind of placate the campers.
Sign the book.
And then they add it to the stack. That's creepy.
What'd be cool is if you look up if any young lady has
several people throughout the years. I think it was 12 people
have drowned.
8 of them children have drowned in Moon Lake.
So if you could see her
and then compare the pictures,
figure out who it is.
Yeah. If I were one of the campers having had that experience, I guess it could go one of two ways. One, I don't have this thought process that it could possibly be a ghost, and so I'm bothered the rest of my life that little girl was not found and they did not form a search party.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or two, I do have the thought process, and then I start trying to connect the dots.
So the question is now that you know about this myth, if you saw the little shivering wet girl,
would
you
memorizing
automatically go
features.
to ghost?
Brown hair. What is she wearing?
Sketch pad.
Yeah. 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 Now that I know this, if I were to see her, I would definitely try to connect the dots. And I don't know if anyone has connected the dots.
And that's a tough question. What if you're, oh man. I mean, like, if you connect the dots, would you?
What if it's a water baby?
Ooh. Well, then, there would be more missing people. That's kind of what they do.
Yeah. Anyway, Clem, the Civil War soldier at Fort Douglas. Now, this is much closer to us.
Mm-hmm.
So Fort Douglas, given its history, is said to be the home of several ghosts. However, Clem is most often seen.
And that is a fine name that's gone out of common
use.
Parlance way too soon.
Clem.
What was the name we saw up there in Oregon of the lighthouse?
Oh, yeah.
It was fantastic.
It was good.
One of them was Umber.
Umber.
The other one was even better. Like the name could have only been a lighthouse captain's name. I need to look that up.
I've got a picture of it. I'll look it up.
Okay, good.
So Clem is most often seen. He's thought to be a Civil War soldier based on the attire he's wearing. Ghosts are never nude. Thank goodness. I mean, maybe there are. Okay. Maybe that's the next anals I shall dive into.
Nude ghosts.
Nude
no,
ghosts.
no. Don't forget about on Ghostbusters. When was it Venkman?
Yeah.
Was asleep and
he was assaulted.
He was assaulted by the ghost in his sleep. It was a tragedy.
So the story is people have gone back because these forts keep records, no matter how kind of dicey they are.
Yeah.
They keep records and there are photos and things like that. And so they've gone back and identified that they believe this ghost's name is Clem. He's short and stocky and has a beard. And what is often seen at Fort Douglas is he is disgruntled at best. And he's wandering angrily through the headstones.
Okay, so just being a veteran myself, it could be any number of first sergeants or sergeant majors or
Yeah.
It filled great NCO, really. That's kind of their general tempo in life.
Yeah. But he just seems angry. And anyone who finds themselves close enough to Clem is terrified because they claim that he just turns, looks at you, and then heads your direction angrily, like to get after you for something.
What would you do? Definitely.
Is he see-through?
Definitely a first sergeant, by the way.
If he's see-through, I don't know.
I got a story. So when I was in the Army, I was at Fort Carson. My first sergeant's name was Scarborough, and I was playing basketball and hurt my ankle bad. So I went to the clinic, and I was set to be deployed a couple weeks later. And so the medic in there was a friend of mine. So I said, hey, just give me a rap. Let's keep this quiet, because it would have removed me from the deployment list. So I wouldn't be able to go with the unit down to Cuba. And so we did it quietly, didn't generate any paperwork. He said, you really need to get this, more done. But they put a wrap on it. He gave me crutches, and he says, we'll just use these when you can. And it's about 5 p.m. on a Saturday. Mind you, the first sergeant's a married man, lives off post, has a wife, couple kids, his own life. But they have a sixth sense about them. And sure shit, he must have known that I was down at the clinic doing something shady I shouldn't have been doing. And I come out of the clinic, and there he is. And I'm carrying the crutches with me, not using them. So he told me to pick up a rock. He said, Anderson, pick up that rock. And it was a big one, a 30-pound rock, 20-pound rock.
Mm-hmm.
So I pick it up. He says, hold it over your head. Put it up over my head. And he says, now drop it. That was just him.
Mm-hmm.
A comical way of getting after him. But he says, why aren't you using your crutches? I told him, well, I really don't need them that. He says, use your crutches. I know what happened. So, but they see you and they come at you angrily. That's why I'm saying Clem's a first sergeant.
Yes, Clem's a first sergeant, obviously.
That's what he is. If he comes at you like that, that's just what they do. That's their whole mode in life. All right, sorry.
That's okay.
Sidetrack with the personal story.
The next one is again, close, the unsettled souls at the Salt Lake Cemetery.
I have heard about those.
So
and I've heard there's a headstone up there that has like satanic stuff on it that was put on there by the lady's husband, who was pissed at her when he put it on or something.
So let me see what it says.
I just heard something like that, and I was like, what? I mean, that's a cruel prank to get him for all of eternity.
Yeah.
Put a curse on the old headstone. While you dig that up, hi, Shirley.
Victim of the Beast is what it says.
Yeah.
Lily E. Gray, victim of the Beast, 666.
Yeah, and it's like he was just one last dig, and she couldn't get back at him.
What an ass.
And then, hi, Laura. So Shirley says, unfinished business. Well, very sad unfinished business. And that's about that landslide. And Laura says, sound like a trip to Moon Lake is in order. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to see a ghost. Maybe. I don't know.
It's got to be on your bucket list. See a ghost.
Kinda.
Anal probing by aliens.
No, I do Kegel food, so that doesn't happen.
Visit with a ghost.
They can try.
Shake Bigfoot's hand.
That one I want to do. The aliens can come. They can try.
How about defeat anal probe of aliens?
That's right. I want the aliens to go back with, a digit less, telling the scary story of the guy who.
That's right. That bit off his finger. I was picking his bum and he bit off my finger.
I was going in for the heartbeat, as we do. Why do you think they do that story propagates?
The whole anal probing?
The probing.
So it makes me wonder if it's just an orifice and they either do or they don't understand the value of the orifice, or B, those that have reported anal probing. It's like the scariest thing they could think of.
You know what? That's what I think. Because how
they don't have a way to put it into words. So that's the literal scariest thing they could think of.
But if you were to seriously, I mean, if you were to, I would be just as scared of an alien like sticking its long suction cup finger down my throat or in my nose.
Absolutely.
Anywhere.
But
that one seems to have stuck.
So
Shirley says, I wonder if they have any photos of the children. She's talking about the girls who have drowned.
At Moon Lake.
So when we look up the bodies or when we look up the records of lost children up there, we need to see if we can recover photos so we can match them up when you see the ghost. And I've got the white van.
You have the white van. You have procured the white van.
And then Shirley says, it's not scary. Shirley, we've chatted with you. You've lived with this.
That's because it's normal to you.
This is like, you watch the video of in India, they've got the Cobra Wranglers.
Yeah. It's normal to them.
Anyone else is not going to be okay with that.
So the Salt Lake City Cemetery is the final resting place for more than 125,000 people.
Ooh.
So that's a lot of energy.
And it is really kind of a beautiful yet spooky cemetery.
It is. It is.
Where it's on that rolling
beautiful
hill.
And eerie at the same time.
That's the gate, the wrought iron.
Mm-hmm. So it's said that more than a few people roam the cemetery years after their burial. Visitors, however, report most often footsteps.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is on like the cemented areas or the grassy areas, but another thing they report a lot is cries of babies.
See, that part freaks me out.
I don't like that at all. Number 5, the ghostly children at Murray Park. Even Murray Park.
Murray?
Yeah, that's not even an old place. I wonder if it was built on something.
Murray's kind of old, isn't it?
Well, it's somewhat old. Shirley says, laugh out loud, love you guys. Stockton Cemetery is haunted. Yes, it is. Yeah, we know.
I haven't been to Stockton. Where's Stockton Cemetery?
Stockton Cemetery is kind of up on the hill. So you pull.
Oh, I know where it's at.
Yeah.
Stockton. I can literally throw a rock and hit Stockton from where I sit.
If you threw hard enough, yeah.
Stockton's haunted. We also need to do
Stockton. It is an old town. It's
is.
got a ton of seedy history.
It is. It's really old.
And it's where all the brothels were.
Yeah. We should go check out the Merker Cemetery again at night.
We should.
Go out there, have a seat.
That's a creepy place in the daytime.
That place is just, it's the way the graves are set up where it's just kind of those rock mounds and some of them have the little gate or the fence around it. And the rough ones are where there's like baby toys in there. And you can tell when it's a baby grave because it is tiny.
Mm-hmm. So Murray Park is a beautiful park. I've actually been there. It's got big shade trees, tons of grass, and it's actually got 4 different playgrounds. However, lots of people report to Parks and Recreation, and this is usually after dark, that there are a young boy and a young girl still on the playground. And these people are concerned. They're like legitimately concerned.
This is
like, what are you doing out this late at night?
This is like Karen's nemesis.
Yeah.
Karen is out patrolling the neighborhood looking for ne'er-do-wells and these kids, and she goes and she gets the police and poof,
and they never
disappear.
They never find them.
And she looks even more crazy and insane standing there pointing, like the police pulls up
right there.
They're there. She's pointing at him, looking down the barrel of her finger and turns her head for a split second.
And they're gone.
Yeah. And the police just think she's crazier.
Yeah. All right, let's do a news story.
Okay, so in the news,
You've got some good ones. This one is my favorite.
It is. It's terribly sad, but it's hilarious.
I love it. I love it so much.
Okay, so an armed ex-soldier allegedly storms animal shelter to get cat back.
Yeah.
An ex-Australian soldier in full tactical gear allegedly burst into an animal shelter with an assault rifle and tied up a worker in a failed bid to get his kitty back, according to a report on Wednesday.
He tied someone up? That's terrible.
Tony Whitman was allegedly so mad when workers at the Lost Dogs home. Now, let's remember what Australia did during COVID.
Yeah.
So Australia can already put their heads in the toilet and flush.
Yeah.
Not all of Australia. Australia, political leaders. I'm not down with what they did. Anyways, was so mad when workers at the Lost Dogs home in Melbourne, told him he needed to wait a day to pick up the pet. He's accused of threatening a 23-year-old female worker with a gun in the facility's parking lot.
Oh, my gosh.
Do as I say and listen to me. I won't shoot you, he allegedly told her. A court heard this week. Don't try anything or I'll shoot you. Humana. Whitman led the worker into a building with a firearm that looked like something a SWAT team in the movies would use.
Where'd he get his weapon?
Said.
There's no weapons in Australia.
Well, this story doesn't count it, but it was a toy gun.
Oh, okay.
It was a fake gun. It was a toy or whatever. But anyway, so he like marched the girl towards the cat, zip tied her up on her knees. And then when he couldn't get the cat for whatever reason, maybe it wasn't in that place or she didn't have access to it. It doesn't really go into that. He kind of said, I'm going to close this door. If I see you, I'll shoot you, as he left the building. So he acted to get back possession of the cat, which he was only going to be without for 10 hours.
Don't mess around with
possibly
his cat.
10 hours. But again, Australia during COVID would get animals into their shelters and immediately
dispose
euthanize them.
Yeah. They wouldn't even wait just as soon as they entered euthanization.
They euthanized thousands of dogs and cats.
Yeah.
And all because Australia went batshit crazy. So anyway, he's claiming that it was PTSD that made him do it. And his cat's his support animal. Mm-hmm. He's being charged with kidnapping, false imprisonment, and armed robbery. And he's denied bail.
Now he's without his cat for a long time.
It's an awful situation.
And they're going to hurt his cat while he's gone. They will likely
unless
euthanize
someone can get it out for him. I say we put a petition together. We buy that cat, bring that cat to a real free country where it can live as a cat. What do you think?
This is the FAFO.
What's that?
F around and find out story.
Well,
don't take his cat. I ain't leaving without my cat.
He had a play gun. But
it's a real threat though. And so I can understand them taking it seriously.
It is. My support animal's starting to whimper. I wonder what she wants.
She doesn't like this story either.
No, she doesn't. But yeah, it's pretty wild that I mean it's wrong, obviously wrong that he went and did that. I would like to know the backstory. Right now in North Carolina, there's a city that's under fire for killing a support animal of a homeless veteran. And you've probably seen it on TikTok and that. But yeah, I don't know. We've entered a new place where pets actually matter. Yeah. And I think Australia's going to find that too, especially after that story in Australia, with how they dealt with pets of people who had COVID.
Yeah. And I wonder what steps he took prior to this escalation. I wonder if he had been in there before, if he had, said, I'll pay whatever money, I'll do whatever, I wonder if he had tried.
Was there other information coming from the animal shelter to him?
Yeah.
such as, hey, there's a good chance your cat's not getting back out to you, or
Right.
things like that.
What I don't like about the New York Post's covering primarily is it's meant to incite emotion and not necessarily cover the story. So there's probably lots more to this.
Where to get paid? Yes, it was in other stories that I read that had the gun was a toy gun. It was.
Yeah, they left this out.
It wasn't even an airsoft gun. It was like a prop.
It's like missing half of its side, only one side.
He's carrying it around with the plaque it's supposed to hang on the wall with.
Yeah, just the New York.
But I mean, how would I react if,
even with PTSD,
like that,
there has to be
tough.
this like escalation.
Oh yeah.
So,
and and not to, I don't want to just disparage him. He did a dumb thing, and I don't want to just disparage the
shelter.
The shelter.
They're likely working within the confines of their
I do want to
guidelines.
disparage Australian political officials who went radical, but that's for everything. Not to mention, you're not alone. I disparage all political officials.
That's right.
I think
he doesn't discriminate.
I would rather be infected. I would rather take a bath with leeches. I would rather roll around in razor blades on the beach next to the salty ocean I'm going to go swim in. I would rather. I'm not a fan of politicians.
Yeah.
Should we do another story, or should we get back to the ghosts?
Let's do another story.
Do another story. Okay. All right. I got some more.
Oh, this one's gross.
Okay.
Let's go back to the ghost. No.
Back to the ghosts. All right. A mother in Uttar Pradesh.
Uttar Pradesh.
Man, I was
so close.
She chopped off her boyfriend's twig and giggleberries after he allegedly tried to rape her 14-year-old daughter.
So it was the mother's boyfriend, not the daughter's boyfriend.
The 36-year-old mother arrived home just in time to catch her 32-year-old lover in the act at their home.
Oh.
So when she attempted to save her daughter, she claimed her live-in partner turned on her.
It was an act of passion.
Made an attempt to attack her.
Yep.
That's the question. She ran and grabbed a knife from the kitchen and cut him to teach him a lesson. I was working on the farm when the incident occurred, she told Times of India. Fortunately, I returned home in the nick of time, Nick in a cutting story, in the nick of time, and caught him red-handed. I brought a knife from the kitchen and chopped off his private parts to teach him a lesson.
Okay.
I have no regrets for what I did.
The mechanics of this. Is he sitting, legs spread, completely nude at the edge of a couch? Is that how she gets to them?
Well,
does she grab it and yank it forward and then hack it off? How?
Honestly, it does sound like, let's say she said she works on a farm. Maybe she deals with, say, corn or maize and is real good, adept at taking ears off of the plant. But anyway, so the question here would be, I mean, him, obviously, either way, he's wrong. Whether it's consensual with the 14-year-old or not, he is wrong. Now, if he is forcing himself on her, he's wronger. But I would argue, he's wrong either way. But that paradigm would change her motives, or could change her motives, to a motive of defense or a motive of revenge.
Oh, I just don't understand the mechanics.
But I imagine he's standing up.
Like,
both of him are standing up.
Swing until she got it? Or are we talking accuracy? One swing and
I'm telling you, she said she worked on a farm. Here's the thing. What if she worked on, say, a pig farm or a sheep farm?
Where she dressed animals.
Or just made geldings down at the horse farm. She would have plenty of practice to make some stuff happen.
I don't know if I could hit the spot in in a rage, in a, a fueled anger.
You're not a practiced
I'm not a farmer.
wielder of,
Beware of
the
farmers.
blade.
Yes. This is your public service
Well,
announcement.
no, beware. Don't touch 14-year-olds, even if they're consensual.
If their mother's a farmer.
Ever. Ever.
Yeah. At all.
I don't
But especially if their mother's a farmer.
even if it came out she did it for revenge, revenge for whichever way. There's a 14-year-old, I'm okay with it.
I am too, kind of.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Tell her not to do it again.
Yeah. Dang it. You're bad.
Listen here, young lady. Don't do it again.
Don't make me turn this car around.
But good aim.
Yeah. But how did the mechanics of that work?
Yeah. Tell me. There he was, turning just to the side. Had my opening. And
was it a backhand swing that cuts all the way through? Because we did a show where he gnawed on it for a while.
Maybe she has a really sharp knife. One of them Ginsu knives, you see, where the guy goes from
and cuts a can and then a tomato.
A can tomato and doesn't like press the tomato at all. It just does a smooth cut. Nice, really fine, multi-folded steel blade. Maybe a little carbon in there or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right.
It's hard to say. So back to ghosts.
Back to the ghosts.
The next one is the ghostly horses at Dead Horse Point State Park. So this is in southern Utah.
Uh-huh.
It's gorgeous down there. But the legend states that there were a group of cowboys. They believe it was 3 or 4, and they were poaching horses from the native people in the area.
Poaching them for pets?
To use as work animals.
So not to eat.
Not to eat.
Okay.
And they drove these horses to this like natural kind of cropping in the rocks, which would have worked like a corral.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the peninsula of the land that juts out into the Colorado River.
Okay.
So the thieves then abandoned the horses. So because it's so far down to the water, and it's desolate desert down there. This is like part of the Grand Canyon where the Colorado River cuts through it before it gets into the Grand Park.
So this might be like a ravine that's kind of just hollowed out.
Yeah.
Soft limestone
And so they had to abandon them. Now, the story doesn't say whether or not they were run off by the natives trying to get their horses back or whatever the case was, but they abandoned the horses and the horses died of thirst. Now, these horses, their carcasses were actually found years later, like 20 years later, and removed. And the connection was made in the local natives, or not the local natives, the local pioneer almost registers that thieves had stolen the horses from this particular tribe. And the horses were never recovered. So it's guessed that these were those horses that were stolen. But what campers at the state park report all the time is this stamping, like thunderous hooves and whinnies of horses really late at night.
So we don't get a lot of animal hauntings.
Yeah.
Here on the Wild Pod. I think animal hauntings would be wild.
Yeah. And so they go and report that they believe, and obviously, given the nature of this area, like, that if these horses are out there, they need to be gathered up and moved to ground where they can graze and get to water.
Oh, yeah. Water's, especially down there in that deserty area.
And the Colorado River through this particular winding area dries up a lot of the year. So these campers go back. Most of them are reported to have made a special trip to go back and get help for these horses.
Really?
Like, it's distressing.
Another one of those where you go get the authorities. They're like, okay.
We've heard it before.
Let me guess.
Yeah. And so they are said to like be in distress. Like you've got to get out there. There's several horses. We're hearing them. They're pawing at the ground.
Have they ever seen them?
Not that anyone has reported.
Sounds like just an auditory
resonance.
Yeah, no.
Residual.
Auditory, what's the word? Apparition.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's terrifying.
Yeah, that would be scary.
So the next one. I haven't been here. Why haven't I been here? It's the Holken Olson. It is Utah's oldest continuously operating bar.
Holken Olson?
Yeah. And it is said to be haunted by its original owner. And apparently, he's quite the character. He operated the bar all the way through Prohibition, and several of the staff throughout the years have claimed to have actually seen him, and they say that he often turns the lights on after they've closed down and left. They'll report that they get to their cars, and they get in, and they get their seatbelt on, and they see the lights come on inside. And then they're like, gosh, damn it. Have to go back in.
Okay, where's this bar at?
So let me find where it's
now.
at.
I want to
go to the Holken.
I want to state this. I'm a bartender at Holken Olson.
Yes.
And I go to my car, and lights are off, and I get in, and I put my seatbelt on, and the lights come back on. They are staying on all night.
It's in Huntsville.
They're staying on all night.
Yeah.
I am not going back in to duel the ghost for the light switch. It's not going to happen.
Be like, fine, dude, you got it. Have it your way.
You know, I might walk to the side of the building and kill the main power. But no, that'd kill the fridges and then maybe ruin food and stuff. Yeah, lights are staying on.
But a lot of the staff have also said that they'll come around the corner and they'll see, kind of in their peripheral vision, they'll see the actual owner, the original owner.
Holken?
They've got pictures of him. I believe his name was Holken.
And Olson is a good Mormon name.
It is a good Mormon name for a bar, anyway. But
Or
they'll
a
see
football
him.
player.
They'll see
or-
him like sitting at the bar, and kind of catch themselves. Just in their peripheral vision, they see him all the time.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know if I'd go back in to turn the lights off.
I think they're just used to him. He's like jovial, and you don't want to piss him off.
Okay. Well, we need to build a rapport before I'm willing to go in and chide him for his insolence.
The next one, American Fork Canyon. They actually have a haunted hike in American Fork Canyon.
No, I've heard of this.
Yes. It is claimed that it's full of this unexplained paranormal activity.
It'd be like Ichabod Crane's ride.
So one of the most common things that people report is walking down the trail and hearing thunderous, like running hard footsteps coming up right behind them. And most of them think, oh no, here comes a runner, and they try to slide to the side so the runner can get by, and then the footsteps stop. And then another, 100 yards down the trail, and so they turn to move to the side, and the footsteps are gone.
Wonder what happens if you don't get out of the way. What if it pushed you over?
Can they run through you? Is that's on your bucket list?
Now here's
Ghost,
another question.
Run through me.
Now, if a ghost runs through you, from its perception, does it see like an MRI as it goes through you?
Yeah, like skin, muscle, fat, bones, dinner.
That'd be wild. And then we could hire.
If I were a ghost, I would run through people all the time.
Then we could hire them, build a rapport, and they could be our modern day MRI machines.
Just step inside, tell me what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. They step in.
I'm feeling a movie coming on.
It's just gas. Oh.
I'm feeling a movie. Someone who knows how to do this stuff.
I love
what
that.
do they say? Give me a treatment.
Yeah. So Timpanogos Cave is also said. Now that's American Fork Canyon.
We've been up to Timpanogos Cave
I
a few
have
times.
been to Timpanogos Cave so many times.
Mm-hmm.
But it is said that there is something in the cave that often brushes up against people during the cave tour.
Maybe it's a bat. Has it ever brushed up against you?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Maybe it did, and I thought it was somebody
If
else.
it was a bat, party's over.
Party is over.
Betsy can't even scream in the presence of a bat.
No, I have no voice. I lock up.
She hates bats.
Legs work great. Turn around. Everything else, arms don't move. My flight or fight response goes to full flight mode.
That was the cutest little bat, too.
Bats are not cute.
It was a little tiny albino bat. It looked like a white mouse with little pink eyes.
Shirley says for the bar, install clap on, clap off.
Seriously, and install it on the outside.
Yeah.
The clapper.
The clapper. Remember those commercials?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm going to be singing that
Cell
song
phones have ruined the
all
clapper.
night. The last one in American Fork Canyon that is always reported are these ghostly hitchhikers. It is said they plague drivers who take that road at night.
And that's one of my worst fears are the hitchhiker ghosts.
And what if some poor soul gets lost and is an actual hitchhiker, but nobody stops because of all the ghost hitchhikers that they've passed on their way?
Oh.
Life ruined.
Mm-hmm. Let's go through some comments real quick. Got to roll back down. Kendra, sorry you're missing the podcast.
Kendra.
Hop on later and leave your comments. Ryan says, hi, Ryan. He says, castration by kitchen knife. Damn.
Situation wise, understand.
Situation is wise and understand.
Ryan, you
Yes.
are the debunker. I'm going to need to know the mechanics of this. Could you get a dummy and try several?
You'd have to buy that dummy from a specialty shop for what you're trying to
This
achieve.
is what you do, Ryan. You debunk things. So I'm going to need to know, was it backhand?
Yeah.
Anyway.
How was the swing?
How much force? Pounds per square inch does it require?
Could you just see this on what was that show with those
Mythbusters.
Mythbusters.
I need Mythbusters to mythbust this story. Can you remove
Is it at one swinger?
how many licks to get to the center of a lollipop?
Shirley says it's never dull. Misty says, happy to see you, Guy. Happy to see
Hi,
you too,
Misty.
Okay.
Bats are not adorable, Misty. Oh, bats are gross.
This little bat was tiny.
No.
It was tiny. Okay.
Ryan says he'll research it and get back to me.
He'll get
Right.
on it. That's when you set up lights to be controlled by your phone. That way, you jumping thing. Where are we at? Set up on your phone. That way you don't have to duel the ghost to turn off the lights. That's right. You need to get those Bluetooth
Amazon
lights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alexa, shut off the lights to the bar. Alexa, shut off
Alexa,
the lights
stop
again.
arguing with the ghost and do it.
Shut off all the lights. Alexa, do as you're told.
Yeah, Ted Bundy killed a woman up there.
Yeah, I wonder.
And we don't know. Ted Bundy might have killed more people than we know about.
Absolutely.
And then wasn't the Green River Killer, didn't he pass through here at one point?
Yeah. It is one of those canyons that is just desolate enough and away from civilization enough that people seeking to do harm would naturally choose it if they were near it. Heavily wooded, winding roads, lots of pullouts, tons of hiking trails.
Beautiful drive.
Yeah.
That'd be a fun drive on like a bullet bike.
Pick up a hitchhiker, get on back. Their gray hair flowing in the wind. That's our next shirt. I need you to design an American Fort Canyon shirt for the Wow Pod, and it's got like a ghost on the back of a motorcycle.
Well, I hope I never see a ghost up there. Misty says, bring all the bats to her.
I'm not touching them. So
Betsy saw that one and it shut the party down. Party was over.
yeah,
We were doing a little bit of spelunking in an old mine.
that was it for me.
And that was it for Betsy.
Yeah,
She'd have walked all the way home if she knew which way it was from where we were.
that's right. I'm not good with directions, so I waited outside the cave. I did wait outside the cave with my back to the cave though, so I could be in a position of defense in case it came out.
Was maybe that long. It was a tiny little albino bat.
Albino.
It was so,
Emphasis on albino.
It
Little
was-
red beady eyes. I didn't see its
it
eyes.
had big pink eyes.
Yeah.
It looked like an albino mouse with wings. It was very cute.
Ay, ay,
And so Ryan, when you do the research, I think we need to do video evidentiary research.
ay. We're going to need you to prove it.
You don't need to keep the receipt for the prop, though.
That's right.
You won't be able to return it when you're done because
have it shipped to Sarah's house. No one will know.
Sarah's like, "What is this?"
Ryan, a package came for you? Okay, the next one, the restless spirits at the Salt Lake City County Building. So now this county building is arguably one of the most beautiful buildings in all of Salt Lake. It's the big county building on State Street. It's really ornate. It's still got the big watchtower or clock tower, and the clock still works and rings at all the hours. It's a beautiful building. Some people who work there have reported that at minimum 5 different ghosts haunt the halls and offices, including 2 children.
And okay, so 3 of them are politician ghosts.
A previous mayor and a past judge are said to have been seen. So the mayor is said to be walking around and trying to get into doors. She's like trying to get in your business. The judge is often seen by the janitorial services. So the janitorial services are actually county paid or city paid employees. But they are said to have entered these courtrooms that are still being used there for lots of things. They're entering these courtrooms and seeing the judge kind of apparition-like sitting behind his desk.
Does he do any of the ghosts?
He's doing things.
Interact with.
So in all cases, the janitors have reported that they believe they've interrupted an actual judge. And so they kind of just back out, pull their little can or whatever they've got, their mop and bucket, whatever they've got. They just kind of see him there and back out. And then they tell their superiors, I wasn't able to do this because the judge was in there. They said, no, nobody was there. Nobody's been there all day. There's nothing going on there. And it got to the point, the reports say that it got so frequent that they were doing like their own sleuth work, like going around talking to judges. Were you in there today? Were you in there today? Did you drink my Mountain Dew?
So we're going to need you, Betsy, to sign up for janitorial staff at the old Salt Lake County building and
yes,
check it out. Now, Shirley says, I've seen many apparitions. And yes, you have. We need to have you back on again because last time I talked to you, you said they followed you, correct?
Yeah, Shirley's the one that saw it in her. That picture
in the Jeep
still reigns supreme.
Shirley is...
That was a full-on person.
Shirley is a ghost magnet.
And I would say, because Shirley shared that picture with us, I have seen an apparition.
Now, Betsy's a ghost magnet.
And it was the picture she shared.
Well, I saw that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah.
It's new? You've got a new ghost?
You got to come on and tell us.
All
about
right,
it,
Shirley, we're going to have to plan on have you on. Maybe next week we'll have Shirley on to talk about the new ghost.
So Utah's most famous ghost town. I can't believe we haven't been here. Grafton is Utah's most famous ghost town, and it was the site of several tragedies over the years. Visitors who wander through the cemetery report the laughter of children. Not something I would rather hear eerie screaming than children laughing in a cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
Terrifying, but it's often reported there. Now, Grafton has been explored by lots of ghost hunters, given its history. It is a ghost town that is near Zion National Park.
Mm-hmm.
It's in Washington County. It was largely destroyed back in 1862 by a flood of the Virgin River. They rebuilt the town like a mile upriver and named it New Grafton. I love that.
Original.
So unique. However, the new town was then flooded, and then there was the outbreak of the Black Hawk War, widespread fear of Indian attacks. I mean, Grafton really struggled. And there are tons of like historical things that happened in Grafton. Ryan says Grafton is an awesome place. Been there a few times. But the thing that is most reported by visitors is children laughing at the cemetery.
Would the baby crying or the children laughing be scarier? See,
Children,
I think
laughing.
there's a crossover paradigm. Have you seen Children of the Corn? And I think
I
that's the paradigm where it crosses over from babies crying to children laughing. Which one freaks you out most? Because Children of the Corn cause a lot of people to question,
Corn.
do we have kids?
I didn't want to eat corn or go by a cornfield for a long time.
Well, I like corn. It's the kids I didn't like. Of course, I was their age when I saw it. So.
That's true.
Yeah. Misty says, I've been working at Salt Air, and there are places they keep blocked off because of where the ghosts hang out.
Yeah.
Told them next time they do another ghost hunt, I want to be there. Yes, let us know, Misty.
They've done several ghost hunts there.
I have a Salt Air story, but I should save it for another time because it's a little longer one. But Alex was there. So was Susan. It's an older story.
You have a Salt Air scary story?
Kind of a freaky story.
Well, you should tell it now.
Do we have time? What time?
Yeah.
All right. I will tell it now. Do we have any more of these Utah ghost hunts?
That's the last one.
Okay. All right. So this would have been back in about 2000. Susan and I and Alex, Alex was probably 4 or 5 at the time.
Just a little guy.
We're taking the drive in the old Ford Tortoise that we had. And we're just looking at stuff. So we stopped at Salt Air. We were living out at Dugway at the time. We stopped at Salt Air and we're walking around behind it, this is before they built the fence around it, before they started doing concerts in it, but they had opened it up and started doing some renovation. And we were walking down by, there used to be a thing behind there called the Great Salt Lake. It used to have water in it. You could actually walk to the water. I mean, you could probably still walk to the water. I
swam in it when I was a kid.
We used to go there when we were kids and swim in it. But
you get past all the brine flies, the stinkiness.
You can still walk to the water from Salt Air, just you better pack a sack lunch and a flashlight. Anyways, some big dude comes around the corner and like, hey, what's going on? You want me to show you around in there? I'm friends with the owner of the place and I'm here as security. I come out and see what's going on, but I can show you around inside of it. Like, okay. So we go inside and he's showing us around and I've been in there since. It's a lovely building, but then it was kind of run down real bad. Still had like crusty, dried up salt on the main floor and whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll show you where my room is. Or I go, didn't think anything of it. Okay.
What?
And you know those porticolas? There's
Yes.
little rooms in each one.
He said he wanted to show you his room.
Well,
Have you never seen Stranger Danger?
Yeah. Anyways, so we walk up in there, and he's got a sleeping bag rolled out on the floor, and he's living in the Southwest Porticola. Porticola, is that what you call it? Southwest humming a jigger. The thing on the top. And it's just a sleeping bag laid out on the floor, and a backpack, and an old burnt up candle, and an open can of whatever stew was there, just sitting on the floor. And I was like, that's when it clicked. I'm like, oh, I'm about to hear that music that you hear off of, screet, 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 screet. So I'm like, oh, hey, well, it must be cool to work here. Would you look at the time, and is, kind of push Susan and Alex out ahead of me. All right, time to go. And you got to walk down these, I think it was those swirly stairs to get out of just that, and then down the stairs and get out of it. And the whole time he's like, hey, hold on, more to show you. And I'm like, we got to go. And I never bothered to look up to see if there was like some crazy guy camping out in there or if that was real. When I saw his setup in that room, I was like, I'm out. I'm done.
I can't believe you followed him. We need to go over Stranger Danger again.
Well, it's probably armed. So
the only thing worse would have been
okay.
like, I have candy. Do you want some candy?
Well, I might have stuck around.
Listen, you said you had candy. I'm going to get my candy before I go.
You said you had something with a little bit of chocolate in it now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, that was, I wonder if he had broken in there though, or if he really was. And if they just hired some guy to pull security, why would he just have a sleeping bag? And
he was homeless, Bob.
He was
100%.
He seemed like it. And once you got in that enclosed place and kind of away from the brine flies, you could tell.
Oh.
And it didn't have like running water out there or any of that.
Yeah, it was rough back then.
Mm-hmm.
It's a chateau.
And Alex was just
Chateau au Homeless Bob. Hey, Alex, remember that childhood memory when I took you to meet Homeless Bob? I took you to his bedroom.
See, that's where MTV Cribs needs to be. Well, okay. Remember who I was there with? I was there with Susan.
Oh.
Who do you think drove the following this guy on the tour?
100%. 100%.
Now, let's be honest. At the time, I probably had a pistol on my hip.
True.
So,
you and Homeless Bob could have sparred it out.
Yeah. But once I saw, like, had he not taken us and said, I sleep here? Like when he said my room, I'm kind of thinking like the security booth. I'm expecting to see some cameras, a logbook, But when he takes me up there and I see a sleeping bag and a half-eaten can of chili or something, and like one of them little survival candles that are just little short numbers, and that's when I was like, all right, I'm out. Yeah, that was, but Susan drove that. Yeah, let's follow him around. I like seeing him, meeting and talking to everyone. All right.
Thanks for joining, guys.
Misty, we got to have you come on and tell us about the ghosts of Saltaire, but you better check in with your bosses first. That'd be an awesome show. Misty just asked, was he even real? Don't get that in my mind too.
Yeah, did he even exist?
Oh, why would the ghost need a sleeping bag?
Ghost Homeless Bob is better than non-ghost Homeless Bob.
No, it is not.
100%.
Not at all. Not at all. I would rather only have to deal with one assaulting factor, not two.
Scary stuff.
Yep. All right. We'll see you next week.
I don't know if we're going to do the gross one next week.
No, that one might take a little longer. I threw it on Betsy's lap. I've known about the story for a while, and I think I did it just to shock her because people don't know about these.
I had no idea. It's like real life Hunger Games. And You'll know we're going to cover it when the title of the
Games-
show is This Show is Gross.
The Hunger Games are punk ass compared to
100%. Real life.
Cannibal Island.
Cannibal Island. Don't look it up. You've been warned.
Yes.
Okay, do. Because I don't want to live alone in my terror.
It's freaky.
Misery loves company.
It is freaky. And wye do I know about all these sadistic things?
No. How do you sleep at night?
How do I sleep at night? Usually on my side. I like to tuck a pillow up close up against my neck. But anyways, we'll see you guys next week.
Have a great week.